and welcome to This Album with me, William Hann. It's the podcast where each episode a guest and I will deep dive an album of their choice. It could be any artist, it could be any genre, it could be any year. And we are gonna discuss the songs, we're gonna discuss the shows, we are gonna discuss the artwork. But what I really want to know is where my guests first heard the album of choice and the emotional attachment that they have to the record. Who knows? We might even have a bit of a laugh while doing it. Well, today, I'm joined by a singer-songwriter who's been quietly leaving a footprint on the UK indie music world since 2009. And you may know today's guest from fronting the cult favourite indie band Let's Wrestle, but that was then. And as you may be aware, this is now. And in 2026, he can be found carving out a solo career that mixes humour and vulnerability like Fatboy Slim mixes 120 BPM beats with other 120 BPM beats. He hates your driving, but will you like his podcasting? Let's bloody well find out. It's Wesley Gonzalez!
Thank you for having me.
An honour, a pleasure, a privilege. How are you, Wes?
Yeah, I'm very well. Excited about, as you said, we've got a new record we're working on and stuff, getting that finished, and touring around, setting stuff up, so all exciting stuff.
An exciting time to be Wesley Gonzalez.
Indeed,
absolutely.
I guess so.
I guess so, right? This is it. This is the thing, right? This is what it's all leading up to. So I think first and foremost, Wes, shall we set the scene a little bit here? Mm-hmm. This is not an average day in my office, but maybe it is for you. Where are we today?
Metropolis Studios.
Holy
in Chiswick, West London.
Massive. So you're working quite hard here at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, we've been working on some of the stuff for the record here over the weekend, and it's been fantastic experience. Flashiest studio I've ever worked in.
Yeah, they let you in, yeah?
They let me in.
Amazing.
I know, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Yes, as a mere urchin of the music industry, it's a privilege and an honour to be working here. But it's been wonderful. It's been great.
Nice. Shall we, what happens here? What is this studio? What famous things have been recorded here, Wes? Do you know much of the history here?
Good question.
Thank you.
Well, this room is mastering room, so I think most... this is like the main mastering studio that's taken over Abbey Road, I think. So it's like as but who knows?
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll take this opportunity to say shout out to Felix as well while we're here.
Yeah, big shout out to Felix.
Thank you for having us, Felix. Appreciate you. Very kind of you. I know a bit of though. I know that Amy Winehouse recorded Back to Black in this fucking room.
Oh right, yes,
pretty sick. Stone Roses recorded Second Coming in here, so that was only a 5-year operation.
Indeed.
Metropolis afloat for the next 2 decades, I'm sure. What else was there? There was Queen recorded here. There's some mad stuff. You're talking about Freddie Mercury's piano.
Yeah, we were using his piano for
just using Freddie's fucking piano.
Record. Yeah, it's funny as well because it's like I did a lot of the record just on my own on a nylon string guitar in my bedroom, and then you come in and then you're playing on. Well, I didn't play it. I've got somebody for that.
Yes, you've got a guy.
I've got a guy who does that. He was telling me actually, because I still write them on piano, whatever.
All right.
And he was, he's redone them, but proper. And he was telling me all the ways I'm shit at piano. It's great.
It's nice to be the stupidest person in the room sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed.
It's also nice to be the fucking smartest once in a while. But so who are you, Wesley? What do you do? What's your vibe? Tell me everything.
Well, I was as he said, I was in a band called Let's Wrestle for 10 years or something.
What a band.
Thank you very much. And we did records, toured a lot, and did all that. And then since 2015 I've been making solo records. So I've made 3 solo records so far, and I've had a little break doing a couple of other things and trying out behind the scenes work. But I'm sort of, I think it's like I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about the record I'm working on at the moment, and it's a lot of stuff that's about what's going on now or like whatever. And I've always been repelled by protest music. I think it is
There's a lot of very bad protest music out there.
Oh my god! At the moment, particularly,
sure.
Like I feel like we're living in a time that's insane, but nobody's writing anything interesting about it, and it's like. it felt like a real response to the news and stuff. And again, I'm like grossed out by that as a proposition. But
well, it's actually good. I promise
it's
you.
It's a necessary thing, I guess.
Yeah, hard to ignore.
When everything feels so crazy, it's a necessary thing to express it in some sort of way. And when you don't feel like, I feel like we've got a lot of people just saying things that are very on the nose. And there's not much nuance and stuff. So a lot of the songwriting sort of came out of that, I guess, of just, experiencing everything we're all experiencing and trying to make sense of it in my own way that doesn't feel righteous or ugly.
No, I think you get the balance just right there, Wish. You're okay. So tell me a bit about the difference between your previous work of Let's Wrestle and your solo work and, what you accomplished.
Yeah, well, I've been... We started out Let's Wrestle when we were about 15.
Right, wow.
And I was mega into like Swell Maps and Wire and all those post-punk bands and stuff. We did the first single in like 2007, I think. And...
so my numbers were wrong. I said 2009. Fuck you, Wikipedia.
First album came out 2009, so that's correct.
Fine.
But and then we ended up making a record with Steve Albini.
Oh, wow. Remember that?
And did that in Chicago for the second album. And then...
Tell me a bit about that. What's the Albini process like? Nonsense, right? He's proper just plug in and play and fuck off, right?
Yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, it was very similar to how we've always worked, because we were really ramshackle and we didn't really rehearse much and we weren't really interested. We wanted to sound scruffy and loose and all that stuff. And he worked in the way that we worked, but he obviously had the expertise and the knowledge of the EQ and that kind of thing. But we got on great when we didn't talk about music. We got on like a house on fire if we were talking about coins or power tools. But
he's a man of many passions, right?
Yeah, we had quite a few arguments about music as well, about British music in particular.
Tell me everything about these arguments, please.
He said there'd been better bands in the last 20 years coming out of the Netherlands than from the UK. And no shade to the Netherlands. I think there's some great music from the Netherlands, but it's just, I don't think that's true.
Do you feel you got rage baited a little bit there?
Maybe, yeah. Well, he was an edgelord.
Anger into the studio, right?
Unfortunately, he was an edgelord, but he was wonderful. He was fantastic. It was a real experience working with him.
Yeah.
And we did that, made a third album, then we ended up breaking up. The third album sort of went a bit like 60s.
I was going to say, because you mentioned the post-punk influence, there's like a lot of like classic 60s songwriting, I think.
Yeah. The third album really veered off into that sort of territory.
Was you happy with that? Was that comfortable?
Yeah, I think it was a really good thing for me to learn from and to see how to be. I think it was the first time I'd been ambitious in that way. So I learned a lot from it. But I think the solo records, I did 2 records where I didn't play any guitar on them. That was like, I was obsessed with, like, I hate guitar because I played guitar in the band for like 10 years. So I decided I hate guitar. I only wrote on piano for 2 years.
Sold your guitars and bought turntables.
Yeah. And and then the last album I sort of came back to write a bit of guitar, and then now I've gone all folk. I don't know, it's very odd. I've got quite an odd trajectory. Probably why I've not been massively successful.
No, it's not that. So when did the folk start entering your life? When did you have your folk era?
I think it's like a thing where it's a funny thing because it's not what I gravitate towards really, or maybe it's just a thing of getting older. I started when I was like 15, so
you're still finding your feet, aren't you?
Yeah. So like now I'm 35. 20 years of being in the music industry, I guess you have to have your folk moments. But often I don't like a lot of it. But when I do like it, I really like it. And this record we'll be talking about today is sort of less a folk record. It's an interesting sort of mishmash of a lot of things. But that sort of presence in a lot of that music, which I'm sure we'll get into, of comes through in this choice of album, I guess.
We'll get into that. You mentioned about everyone having their folk era. I was trying to think of a few examples of like good and bad folk eras, and Beck's folk era definitely comes to mind. He really
the Mutations album.
What it's called now? It's
or Sea Change.
Sea Change is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that was really good. That record actually.
That was really good.
I haven't listened to it in a very long time, but I remember loving that one.
It's really good. It's my mate Sam's favourite Beck album, and Sam's often right with this stuff. So
yeah. Props to Sam.
Props to Sam.
Yeah.
Man. Can you think of any other good folk eras from non-folk artists?
Folk eras from non-folk artists. I tell you what, my favourite is sort of the reverse of this. It's a folk artist from a non-folk era.
Oh, right, great. I'm interested in this.
Is John Martin's 19... I'm obsessed with John Martin. Love his, the more folky stuff. But he made a couple of albums with Phil Collins in 1979 and 1980.
Okay.
And it was when Phil Collins was making I Can Feel It Coming in the Air Tonight, and they were both going through a divorce, both getting drunk together and angrily calling their ex-wives. And I thought it would make a brilliant Martin McDonagh play or something, to write a play around the dynamics of John Martin and Phil Collins drinking their way through an abuse and making two quite odd and angry records in tandem as well.
That's a musical I'd want to watch.
Yeah, I thought it's got legs, I think.
All right, I'm getting a measure of the man. Before we sort of move on, tell me a bit about this upcoming project of yours and this EP you're working on.
Yeah, so we got a first single coming out, Red Pilled and Based.
What a title, by the way.
Thank you very much. And Red Pilled and Based is about the Lux Maxa clavicular.
Yes,
so I've got to get it out quickly because he overdosed the other day, so I'm worried. Yeah, he overdosed. Live on stream, he overdosed.
I'd like to think I'm very much, unfortunately, in the algorithm of this, but I missed that completely.
Oh, well, you write a song about it and then you'll get loads of it, right? I'm all over the clavicular stuff.
Wow.
But I think I've got to get this out soon. So I've decided this is the first single of the new record and stuff.
Do you think this is the first song to be written about clavicular?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. There's a few strange subject matters on this record. There's another one that's called 12 Newlyweds, which is about... it's not about Married at First Sight. It's about...
But it's not about it.
It's about another show called Stranded on Honeymoon Island, which is pretty much Married at First Sight,
right,
but a less popular version. And me and my girlfriend watched that, and I ended up... She was laughing at me that I'd written a whole song about the contestants on my... whatever I said the name of the show was. But...
so yeah, this is a real show, though, right?
Yeah, it's a real show. It was on Channel 4. And I love Mark E. Smith from The Fall. He's like my favourite lyricist, and he would get a lot of his stuff from TV shows and sort of weird pop culture things and whatever. But it's I think it's an interesting thing. These songs aren't particularly... They're like political whilst not being political in a sense. It's like talking about these things that are an uglier part of our whole world. And also, I don't mind ugly things. I'm not saying it like, do this or do that, whatever. But, yeah, it's just funny, isn't it? It's funny to watch some guy smash his face in with a hammer.
That is funny. It's fucking... You don't see that, do you? You don't see that very often. I want to see a guy that's got such body dysmorphia that he will smash his face with a hammer on the race.
You know what it reminds me of? I'm trying to think. Was it in Art Attack? There was the head, wasn't there? There was the grey head.
Yeah.
I seem to remember him being hit with a hammer. I have a memory of his.
Neil Buchanan, if you're listening, if you could.
I could have imagined it. I had an experience like that when I was a kid, where I used to imagine a lot of stuff happening. Where I went to Kentish Town City Farm. I remember seeing a horse with an eye patch, and the farmer at Kentish Town City Farm flipped the eye patch and showed me the horse's eye socket, right? And 20 years later, I went back with my girlfriend at the time, and I was telling her all that. I saw a horse's eye socket, right? And I found somebody who worked there. I said, how long have you been working here? He's like, about 25 years. I was like, I was about 25 at the time. And I was like, I came here when I was a kid, and do you remember the horse with an eye patch? And he went, no, we've never had a horse with an eye patch or whatever. We got in a real heated debate because I was so sure I'd seen this horse with the eye patch. Is this good podcasting?
This is fucking... Yeah. The second you started, that's the clip. We're going with that.
Right,
Don't you worry about it. This is gold. This is exactly what I want. I should probably make it very clear. Tangents are welcome here.
Okay,
Don't worry.
All right,
it's not a sensible music podcast. I think that's good gear. Yeah, I have that thing that you sort of question your childhood reality, right?
Yeah.
And you think, that sounds mental when you say it out loud, but that's definitely how I remember it happening.
Yeah, I used to imagine whole scenes from films, and then when I'd watch them again as an adult, I'd watch them and they wouldn't be there. My mum actually had it as well. Have you ever seen the James Stewart film Harvey?
I've not seen Harvey.
Brilliant, like 1950s film. It's really, really fantastic. And it's this guy sort of like his lowest ebb, and he's losing his mind. And it's like a fun 1950s family film. It's a very odd film, but he's losing his mind, and he's got this giant imaginary bunny rabbit next to him. And the whole point of it thing is he's acting. James Stewart is a brilliant actor, and he's acting as if this bunny rabbit's there, and it's not actually there.
Right.
But my mum had it where she told all of her friends, "You got to see this. There's a 7-foot bunny rabbit," and like explained all how it looked in complete detail and everything, and then was deeply embarrassed when there was no bunny to be seen.
This is like the Mandela effect for one person. Right?
Yeah.
All right, this is good. I'm getting a real measure of the man here, Wes. I'm a bit interested in sort of your musical coming of age, though, right? So you said you started Let's Wrestle at 15 years old. I mean, how did that come to be? That's like, when did you start picking up instruments?
When I was like 9 or 10, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a funny thing. I remember being somewhat reluctant to learn when I was a kid or whatever, and then just sort of fell into it. There was guitars around the house and stuff. So, just fell into it. And then by the time I was like 12, like insanely obsessed with music. Like, I think I heard, around 12, I heard Dr. Dre and Nirvana for the first time.
The big two.
You know, yeah.
It's funny you actually say that, right? So get this. I was actually listening to 2001 on Sunday night.
Oh, it's an amazing record.
It's so good. It waffles on a bit towards the end, but it's so funny listening to it because it's like, of course a 13-year-old boy is going to love this album. It's so juvenile.
Well, it's also the same. I was having a spliff the other day, and I thought, well, I actually sang out loud, "Smoke weed every day," and I still get pleasure from that.
That is about as good as it gets.
Yeah, it's the coolest thing anybody's ever said at that age. But by the next year, I was into by the age of 13, I'd gotten quite heavy into like Pavement and Gang of Four and stuff, and like expanding and just utterly obsessed with music the whole time. So by the age of 15, it seemed like I had two plans basically. When I was failing at school, I knew that I wasn't doing well. I knew that it wasn't going to happen. And I had two plans. Was either I'd find a way to put out a 7-inch single, which is what I did, and did Let's Wrestle. But my other one was, I found out through somebody where Marquis Smith drank in Manchester. And a big part of me wondered about just going to Manchester and drinking in this pub every day until I got hired. And that was like I remember that for like 6 months. I was like, that's what I told all my friends, like, I'm going to move to Manchester and join the Fall. That's my plan. Which, in hindsight, maybe not the best plan, but...
It's correct if I'm wrong, is the policy not if you just play music with Marquis Smith once, you're in the Fall?
I guess so, yeah.
So it's achievable, man.
Yeah, I reckon so, yeah. I've read enough books about the Fall to now realise it probably wouldn't have been a very fun existence, but, I was a glutton for punishment at that time. Yeah.
All right. That's quite enough, I reckon. Why don't you tell us which album we are discussing today, please, Wesley Gonzalez?
Judee Sill's 1972 masterpiece, self-titled album.
Thank you very much. Well, I've got news for you. It was 1971.
Oh, no.
Today we are deep diving the classically trained, yet very much troubled Judee Sill and her cult classic self-titled debut album from 1971. Sorry. Judee Sill. Judee was a Californian singer-songwriter who blended folk, classical and gospel into something intricate and spiritual. She had the emotional honesty of Joni Mitchell, mixed with the compositional ambition of Brian Wilson, with a darker, more mystical, more intriguing edge. Passing at just 35 and living a life defined by addiction, Judee only created 2 albums, but her legacy lives on, and she's considered an essential touchstone in the world of folk music and will undoubtedly continue to do so for many, many generations to come. What an album, Wes.
Indeed, what an album.
I wasn't familiar with this album. I probably knew Judee's name and not much else. Mm-hmm. So talk me through it. When did she enter your world? Who is Judee Sill? Tell me everything.
I think I heard Judee Sill... Well, the first time it really clicked with me was my early 20s. When I was saying about that Let's Wrestle album I did that it's a bit more 60s influenced or whatever, I think around that point, and I heard the track Jesus Was a Crossmaker.
What a fucking tune.
It's incredible. And it's like as you're saying, with the gospel influence and stuff, it just seemed mad. And she also seemed so, like, you saw a picture of her and she just seemed so librarian-y, like really, Yeah.
Well, do you know what I think? I'm looking at that cover now, and like she looks like she could be in the Ramones.
Oh yeah.
Is what I see.
The thing that's so funny is she in different photos she looks like completely different people the whole way through. Like I think the first time I saw her, I was like, oh, she seems like a religious librarian. Then the next photo I saw of her, it's her with her hairband on with her tits out, and it's like a very hippy dippy sort of thing. So she seemed, and I think that reflects in the way she writes. It's like she's sort of split personalities in a lot of ways. It's the same with her. The way she lived and stuff, she's very troubled. Like, was a heroin addict from a very early age, and like got sent to reform school. That's how she ended up learning how to play all the gospel piano stuff. Was she was put in this reform school as a teenager, and then she got clean, moved to LA into the Laurel Canyon scene, and started playing.
Those two don't go hand in hand normally. Get clean and then go to Laurel Canyon.
I know, yeah. Well, I think LA clean,
yeah,
LA
exactly,
clean,
yeah.
not the hard stuff, but and then made this album and made one more album and then disappeared and sort of died completely, unrecognised, and it's sort of amazing. The amount of albums that the people that just got nothing when they were alive, and it's just gorgeous, and it's such a brilliant. It's a really dark story, but there's such dark and light within the album. There's like gut wrenching, really emotional moments, and then there's like points of like utter joy that you can only really find in gospel music. I find that the combination of those chords has like a joyous feeling that is like no other type of music or whatever. There's and have you seen the Aretha Franklin film Amazing Grace that came out a few years ago?
I did, no.
It was filmed by Atlantic Records in the early 70s. It's her in a church performing an all gospel set.
Right, wow.
And my COVID thing was I would take a big fistful of magic mushrooms and I'd watch Aretha Franklin on the telly singing in this church, and I would just cry for hours. It was just gorgeous, amazing. And it was like not having I've never been like I was never one for going out that much, not being like a big... I think it's hard being a musician and then wanting to go out a gig, whatever, can be a bit of a busman's holiday or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you was in COVID and there was no live music, and having this document of Aretha Franklin in the 70s, and you're just like, the release of it was so much. And I feel very similarly about this album. It's like the feel of it is like not even necessarily like emotionally gripping in a, there's things that are emotionally gripping in a really dark, intense way, but I feel it's much harder to do to express a feeling of like love and joy without it being cringeworthy or repellent in its own way. Maybe that's me as a cynic or whatever, but for me this is the album that gives that to me.
So you mentioned about the sort of the way that gospel music can do those two sort of energies at the same time, the sort of sadness and the positivity at the same time. What does that do to you emotionally, hearing those two things combined?
I guess it's a funny thing. Like, it's been a real obsession. I've been really obsessed with religious music for a really long time. Yeah. Like, I'm in no way spiritual. I'm like the most godless person ever.
Oh, I can tell.
But there is a thing where I think it's in lieu of that,
Right.
It's in lieu of that, and there is, and I guess if it's a thing where, the thing I spiritually connect with is music on a whole, when it is something that comes from that church world or whatever, and you don't have that growing up or whatever, I guess there is a part of it. I remember getting upset because my family are Catholic, right? But my cousin, he was raised Catholic. My mum was lapsed Catholic, so he had a communion. I remember getting so upset when he had a communion and I didn't. I was like, what do you mean he gets presents and everybody cares about him, and why am I?
Yeah, I can really relate to this.
I remember going to family members' house and going, somebody go, do you want to say grace? He go, he wasn't baptised. Don't ask him, he wasn't baptised. We'll move on to the next kid. You know what I mean?
Well, get this right. So me and my brothers, none of us are christened. We haven't got middle names, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that was quite normal. And I remember in my early 20s, late teens, meeting a bunch of mates that were all Irish. And they've got fucking middle names coming out of their ears.
Yeah.
They grew up in churches. And I would say to my dad, so Dad, like, how come we haven't got middle names? He goes, they couldn't afford them, son. Couldn't afford them. Good, nice choice, fair enough. How important has the imagery and fashion of this album been to you? You mentioned about her different looks. Has that had an impact on you at all?
I think it's an interesting thing. She's again, it's so hard to quantify, and like sort of this image is very like evocative. The artwork's super evocative, and I think
about the artwork for those that are
just sort of like the sort of brass cross and sort of that. It's hard to even recognise as a tree at points. Is
that a tree? Right. I thought it was like a pillar that's like marble and rotten, maybe. But like, yeah.
But she definitely does have Joey Ramone glasses on. You are bang on with that.
Bang on with that, aren't I?
Yeah, but I don't know. It's the same thing.
I can sort of see the darkness in her as well. Like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to judge the mood of that, but I can just tell there's an undercurrent of sadness in her.
Without
looking completely, crying next to a tree. But it's kind of. Like, it's so hard to quantify, isn't it?
It is hard to quantify. And I think it's also the thing is, I feel like the more time goes on, there's more, like, I think when I was younger, I don't think I could have grasped this record. I don't think I would have been, like, as a teenager, I wouldn't have been as mature enough to sort of get it, or whatever. And I would have, and now I find being at the age, I love it when I can feel my teenage self hating the record.
So this is something I often tap into on this podcast, of like serving your teenage self and what would they think of your music taste now.
Yeah.
But you're going, no, fuck that guy.
I hate my teenage self. I hate my teenage self as a pretentious wanker.
Yeah, sure.
And like, yeah, I had good taste as a teenager and stuff. I liked all kinds of music. I had very varied taste in music and stuff. But it's so dismissive of so much stuff, or just going. And then I think back to like that time when I was 18 doing the band or whatever, and actually I hear some of the records that came out around that time. I was like, those records are great. I was such a miserable bastard about all of it. I listened to the first Vampire Weekend record a few years ago.
Good.
I hated that so much when it came out. I was so miserable about it. I was just like, no, I hate this. And I read that Meet Me in the Bathroom book, and I was like, it's
the Bible.
I should listen to that. I don't think I even listened to most of those records when it came out, because I just decided that's not my thing.
Yeah, I was very good at that at the time. Definitely was.
It's a funny thing as well, because now I wonder if people are like that as much.
But I do wonder if Spotify changed that a bit.
Yeah.
Because it's so much easier to click a button and go, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Because back then it took a little bit more effort.
Oh, I was very tribal. I was very much like...
same.
I didn't like...
So what was your tribe? Tell me a bit about that.
It was all the stuff. Well, I say tribe. I probably didn't.
Tribe of one.
Tribe were probably like men 20 years older than me who lived through it the first time.
Yeah.
But it was like, I was obsessed with all that Dinosaur Jr. and anything noisy and fuzzy and post-punk stuff and whatever. And it made me. But it's like a thing. It made me fail to realise the greatness around me at the time, of the things that were really brilliant, and actually that's my biggest regret now. And it's the same reason why I go, I wouldn't have understood this record when I was younger. It's the same thing where you go, this would have flew over my head because I just wasn't quite smart enough to get.
Sure.
I don't think I even really properly started listening to people's lyrics until like 5 years ago or something. Like, I'm really actually realising how much of that is part of it for me. And like, I think I always was like, no, I only care about the music. The thing I'd always say was, if you have music with shit lyrics but the music's good, it's a great song. Sure. But the other way around, it doesn't work, so therefore lyrics aren't important, or whatever. There was always my argument, which just seems ridiculous now. And like, I've always loved like Randy Newman or whatever, because he was so on the nose with his cynicism or whatever. But this is like a much it's a much more feminine record as well, in the sense of like, I remember this record talking about the fashion and the imagery, right?
That was the question, wasn't it?
We've gone back to it. I remember my first girlfriend, she had up like she was into Nick Cave and had like a lot of like old European art up in her room. And I remember like when I first went round there, I was like, it's old stuff, so sniffy about it. But after a while I sort of got it, and like and it was like learning so much about the world through seeing through somebody else's vision of it. And I feel like that with this Judee Sill record, it's like a thing of, it's nothing like how I see the world, but that's what I love about it so much. It's like so romanticized and so feminine, and so like the morphing of Christianity and intercourse is like a mad.
Yeah, of course.
Only a woman would put it in that sense. I can't imagine a man. Well, I guess the only similar is Prince. Prince is the other person who used sex and religion in the intertwining thing. It's not an overly used thing, and it's not the thing I would be relating back to Judee Sill is a similarity to Prince.
On paper, I see the problem there, but the similarities are there if you look long enough, isn't there? What would be the perfect setting to listen to this album? Where are we? Who are we with? What are we doing? Set a scene.
So I can't listen to this with other people.
Yeah.
It's one of those records that if you put it on and somebody talks over it, I'm pissed off. I can't. They're a Philistine and they're not realising what is so brilliant in front of them. So it's too much high pressure to listen to it with other people. I find that about a lot of music, really.
Sure.
But I find it's like I always listening to it. It's one of the few records. I'm not very nostalgic or sentimental with music. I move on from things. This is one of the few things I've come back to over and over again, and I relate to in an emotional way if I've had something heavy happen or whatever. And I don't think I seek it out in, like, there's darkness in it and there's all those things, but actually what I was saying before about the joyous moments, those sort of gospel-y things.
A lot of major chords as well, right?
Yeah. That sort of feeling of, like, there's so few albums that give me such a specific feeling of joy. There's another one I was talking about as a possibility of what we could talk about was Jordan the Comeback by Prefab Sprout. And
again, it's going to surprise you. I listened to Prefab Sprout for the first time this Sunday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How did you find it?
It wasn't what I was expecting at all. I thought it was going to be a lot sillier, and it's a lot glossier than I expected.
Yeah. It's very
such a silly name. I've got such silly song titles.
It's super, much I knew. Super 80s production.
Yeah,
it's like
a lot. It's almost like yacht rock in places.
Yeah. It really is, and it's. When they're sort of similar as with Judee Sill. When I first heard Prefab Sprout, it was like, ugh, no. And then I think every couple of years I'd listen to a couple of tracks and I'd like it a little bit more each time I listened to it. It took a really long time for me to get it. And then that Jordan the Comeback album, I listened to that and then just it all snapped. And then I got obsessed with, I do this with anything, I get obsessed with. I was like, spent a whole day reading everything about all the mix notes and how everything was made and all this stuff. I realised it was released on the day I was born.
Oh, wow.
Right, and all this stuff, and there's like all this like weird cosmic sort of energy around it. It was like, there were things in it that really related to my childhood in the lyrics of it and sort of things like that. It was a very spooky kind of simpatico thing with that record. There's maybe, 5 to 10 records that actually make me feel like raw emotion from it, and so when I would listen to it, it's walking around late at night on my own, but I think that's just because that's when I like to listen to music.
You can ask about any album, you'll get the same fucking answer, William.
Pretty much.
Good answer though. Yeah, well, quite interested about how you discovered her, because I'd never really heard of Judee Sill, but then something really strange happened, right? So after we made a decision on which album we're going to discuss today, Thignix got in touch with a video that C-Mac did from Coachella talking about Judee Sill.
The Pitchfork
That's
one.
right.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw it. It was funny. It came up a couple of days after that. Well, Judee Sill's become really popular. There was a documentary that came out a couple of years ago. It was really worth watching. Really good.
About her.
And they got Wise Blood on it, Big Thief's on it. Right. Like her influence. I think it sort of started with Elliott Smith and Jim O'Rourke in the 90s.
Right,
both the two who started really championing it.
Okay.
And this is really special.
That's not because they'll ask you. So what other artists do you think have been inspired by Judee?
I think more like that last Laura Marling record I hear loads. Like that's really Judee Sill.
It's the guitar playing. Honestly, I said earlier, a bit of the guitar playing.
Yeah,
that's just pure.
Yeah. And I think that record's fantastic. I can hear it in C-Mac stuff. I can hear it in Wise Blood. I can hear it in a lot of the more Americana-y sort of things. And then there's also like, there's a record by a woman in the States called Hannah Francis, which they made a record with Daniel Rossen from Grizzly Bear, who I really rate, and he always talks about how much he loves Judee Sill as well, the guy from Grizzly Bear. But I can really hear it in that. Wendy Eisenberg's new record, I can hear a bit of it in that. And it crops up everywhere. It was even in, there's a track from this is on the latest film, The Drama.
Oh wow, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I went to see it with my girlfriend the other day, and I was like, there's Judee Sill, they're playing. And I was like, no, Zendaya would never listen to Judee Sill.
Maybe she does now.
Maybe I've been turned onto it.
How often do you revisit this album, and how well do you think it's aged, Wes?
I revisit it, like, it's hard to say, isn't it? Constantly, but not constantly. I guess there's like been periods of time where I have very cyclical tastes or whatever. But, yeah, but I Jesus Was a Crossmaker will be on, if any time I'm making somebody a playlist of music or whatever, like stuff you should check out, that track
it's
will
the
be
big
on
standout,
there, 100 like there's a track on the album after this one as well called The Kiss as well, which is I like this album more than the second album, but the second album is a bit more darker and a bit weirder, and they're both brilliant, but that song The Kiss is just, I think that's their best, maybe, even though it's not on this album. But why was I talking about that? That's always the thing, I trail off again.
You're in very good hands.
Yeah.
How would you sell this album to someone that's never heard it before, doesn't know who Judee Sill is? You're in the pub, you got 60 seconds, convince them.
I would say that this album is maybe the most consistently well written, start to finish. There is no a point where I'm bored
it flows so well, doesn't it?
It really does go, and then it gets more. It's always unexpected. It's always, the melody's always unexpected. I've listened to it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, and I was listening to it on the way here, and like the string arrangements, also the idea that somebody would make that as their first record and stuff, and how adept,
bold first
how
album.
Incredibly well played it is. Like, take out the songwriting stuff, which is usually what I'll bang on about, but like, just, it's immaculately played, it's immaculately produced, it sounds unbelievable. And it's that thing, it's like they had Asylum Records and that early Geffen money to sort of get that thing. Love that now. Nobody gets that now. But it's like, at least back then you'd have like a couple of chances, you know. There's two incredible albums that are incredibly well made and produced because people took gambles on people like Judee Sill in those days.
No time for risks in 2026, unfortunately.
Yeah, indeed.
Good answer to that, enjoyed that. You ever cried listening to this album before, Wes?
Yes, most certainly. But it's not, I have records I've cried to and been sad about, but again, it's like I feel almost embarrassed saying it on camera, but it's like the embodiment of it. The song "The Lamb Ran Away with the Crown." There's a bit in that, and I well up every time I hear it. Where I laughed so hard I cried, and the lamb ran away from the crown. And there's all of her vocals, and they're like Harry Nilsson stacking, like it's like wall of sound vocals, and it is just like such an emotional rush. It's like when you hear Heroes by Bowie, you know, that sort of emotional feeling when his voice breaks, you know, that sort of, there's the mic technique that Visconti did with that, where he put like a few microphones, and however loud he sang it, each mic would pick it up at like certain volumes. So there's like a really emotional sound in that song that I find. Same with like Robert Fripp's guitar playing, and I feel the same way in that "Lamb Ran Away from the Crown" sort of thing. And they are very whimsical, childlike lyrics, and they're mad lyrics though. They're really explorative, and it's sort of, you hear in that documentary I mentioned, they talk about the Jesus Was a Crossmaker being about Jodie Souther from the Eagles.
I was going to ask you, I don't know what that song was about at all, so this is very helpful, so tell me more.
So it's about Jodie Souther from the Eagles, because she was in a relationship with him.
Right.
And
Laura Canyon, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Inevitable.
And it was about him leaving her for Linda Ronstadt, I think. But the depth in the lyrics, you wouldn't really tell. You know what I mean? It's so out there in how she's expressing it. Once you know what it's about, you go, well, yeah, it's a breakup song. You can kind of feel that in it. But again, that sort of morphing of religion and emotional relationships and that sort of thing. Same as that track, Lady O, which I believe is about a lesbian relationship she had. And some woman she was living with, I think. And I know basically it's a love song, but the way that what's that? You know, that fairy tale, the owl and the pussycat or whatever. It's like that's sort of the imagery I get from it. I get that sort of the books I read as a kid, sort of that kind of thing with her lyricism. But there's a darkness to all of it that sort of doesn't make me. A lot of things that are like too childish or whimsical, I often have a bit of verse to or whatever, but that there's a purity to it. I think it's the same thing. It's like with her being a really difficult person, right? I say that I don't know Judee Sill, so I can't say that, but from what it seems, from what I've read and from history, you know, it's that kind of thing. What I really like about it is it's somebody who is quite obviously flawed and human, but it's so, you know, makes up for it in making this fantastic art and whatever. And I think it's like a thing, it's like in an age now where we live where it seems like people are either good people or bad people, which seems like a reductive and stupid way to look at the world, you know, with no grey area or whatever. It's where music lies in that grey area between good and bad people. What I like about John Lennon's records is that you can hear both a good and bad person in those records. Do you know what I mean? That's what makes records interesting. That's what makes people gravitate towards them. That's why I love Marky Smith. That's why I love James Brown. That's like all these people. That's the great thing about it. And whether that person is greatly successful or not, it's like she knew, at no point did she not know how good she was as well. Like, it's like a thing. It's confident. It's at no point like apologizing for it being there. It's like, look at what the fuck I can do. And you can tell by her sort of self-sabotaging her career is that it's sort of a way of her going...
Let's go back to that self-sabotage thing. I wasn't quite aware of this. Tell me more about this.
Well, I believe there's... Again, it's talked about in this documentary. There was... So Judee Sill was signed to David Geffen's Asylum Records and didn't feel like Asylum were promoting the records enough and went mental at David Geffen, basically, right. And referred to him as a homophobic slur, which is obviously destructive. And I think it's also like a thing... It's a woman who's writing songs about lesbian relationships.
Say, yeah.
So you know what? I think it's just a destructive and how can I hurt the person the most sort of thing. And I think a lot of the greatest artists and the people I respect and admire the most are the most prone to self-sabotage in a way or whatever. It's very uncommon for somebody to be greatly talented and not also have the urge to completely destroy and throttle what it is they've created.
Prone to that yourself at all, Wesley?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I should ask more, but I don't think I will. So I thought, well, it might be a bit of fun, Wesley, right? So 1971 this album come out. I'm guessing, let me think. What were you up to in 1971?
I was making Bridge Over Troubled Water.
That was you?
Yeah, I did.
Fucking legend.
Yeah,
he's fucking lying.
Yeah.
He wasn't born, the motherfucker. Let's look at some of the cultural moments of 1971. Try and build a picture of what was happening when this album was released. So 1971, Apollo missions, Apollo 14, that landed on the moon, if you believe the mainstream media. And Apollo 15 introduced the first lunar rover. Thoughts and feelings on the moon landing?
Thoughts and feelings on it?
Thoughts, feelings, emotions.
It seems like an unnecessary waste of time to me, frankly. I don't.
You could have been listening to Judee Sill.
I've got no interest in space. I don't understand why anybody does.
Yeah. Arsenal won the FA Cup
In 1971, the Gooners.
Come on the Reds.
Come on the Reds, yeah.
The first email was sent in 1971.
That's good.
That's mental,
good
isn't it? That is mental.
Fact.
So Ray Tomlinson sent the first network email choosing...
How could they send an email before the internet?
I have not fact-checked these. Do not give me any follow-up questions.
This would be a good talking point.
Follow-up questions, I'm not allowed in. No, sorry, mate. Walt Disney World, the Magic Kingdom, opened in Florida on October 1st.
Oh, okay, their second park.
Park number 2, mate.
Yeah. I'm a Disney adult as well, so I was
You're a
hoping...
Disney adult. Nearly happy there. The fight of the century happened.
Muhammad Ali.
Correct. And Joe Frazier,
yes,
who defeated Muhammad Ali.
Was it called the Rumble in the Jungle?
That's a different fight, I think. Is that this is called the fight of the century? Is that the same as the Rumble in the Jungle? Again, no follow-up questions here. Mate. We've been through this. I'm sorry. And Jim Morrison died.
Good.
Fuck that guy. This has been fun. Anything we've not talked about on the album? Any sort of memories or emotions or feelings?
I think it's like what I would suggest is like to get an idea of it is to watch the old. Have you seen the footage of her on Old Grey Whistle
No, I need to
Test?
check that out. Yeah.
It was like the footage. She came to the UK, played a couple of shows in London.
Did you catch those shows? Or
I was over. Yeah, I was with Art. Yeah. I was with Art Garfunkel, and we popped in.
Say, yeah.
And so that footage is great, and it's sort of like I don't know. It's hard to say. It's all very melancholy because you see this stuff and you know you'll never experience it, or it's like it's so far away from where I was even born that it's sort of a thing. But I feel like Judee Sill is the undercurrent of so much modern music and just doesn't get talked about at all. Like it's starting to.
Thanks to this fucking podcast.
It's like a Mandela thing. Where a Mandela effect thing, where once you say it, you'll see it everywhere.
Yeah.
You'll start.
It's already happening.
Exactly.
It's already happening.
This music is like it's so important, but just like really underappreciated.
Well, an honour to be a catalyst for change here. So thank you for choosing this album, Wes. I've really enjoyed it. But we're not done yet. I've got one last trick up my sleeve. We are going to play a game of Fair Play Guys.
Sure.
Or Not Those Guys. So I've picked a list here from 1971. It's actually Radio X's top 20 albums from 1971.
Well, there was a documentary about how it was like one of the best album years of all time.
Shall we find out together, Wes?
Let's find out.
Where do you think Judee Sill charted in Radio X's top 20 albums from 1971?
I don't think there was a chart.
Yeah, it wasn't even a glimmer of hope, was there?
I don't think there was a chart.
No, sorry, Chris Moyles is not really a big Judee Sill guy. No, you're correct. She's not in the top 20. So that makes the jeopardy a bit more heightened, I think. So let's see if these albums deserve to be above Judee Sill or not. Let's have some fun. So at 20, Led Zeppelin, 4.
That's a good one.
It's a good one. You curled your face as if to say it's not.
They're not for me, Led Zeppelin.
I'm not a Zeppelin
I can appreciate them, but they're not my band.
I get it. I respect that. At 19, Elton John, Madman Across the Water.
That's a corker.
Corker.
I like the
Cork City.
I like the singles more. I don't think I'd ever put it on as an album though. I love the single. Elton John's like a really great singles artist.
Guy.
I can't think of an album I'd stick on with Elton John. Or maybe I'd go for one of the more singer-songwriter ones if I was going to listen to an album. But that is a cracker.
Fair Play Guys or Not Those Guys?
Fair Play Guys.
Fair Play Guys.
Yeah.
At 18, Sly and the Family Stone. There's a riot going on.
I think that may be one of the only albums that I would put higher than Judee Sill's
There you go. Fair Play Guys. Yes. Pink Floyd at 17 with Medal.
No thanks.
Fuck those guys. At 16, you mentioned him earlier, John Lennon, Imagine.
Not that album.
Not that album.
No, I prefer it when he was a couple of years later when he was doing loads of drugs and making kind of not very good funk music.
To be fair, I'm surprised Imagine was 71. I thought that'd be a bit later. I mean, that is so soon.
It is, Beatles,
That's like a year after the Beatles.
And there's great stuff on that record as well. Like I do love it, but it's I like. There's Walls and Bridges is my favourite Lennon one, which is nobody's favourite John Lennon album, but it's a cracker.
It's a fault. Whatever happened to that producer of this and that album?
Philip Spector.
Whatever happened to him?
He formed a band called Spector in the 2000s, didn't he?
That was Phil Spector. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Who the fuck is Fred McPherson? At 15, Cat Stevens with Teaser and the Firecats.
It's not for me.
Not a Cat Stevens guy.
Stevens,
Fuck
I
that
don't
guy.
get it. I like Harold and Maude.
Is that Harold and Maude?
Yeah, I like Harold and Maude.
We found some positives. There it is. At 14, it's Don McLean of American Pie.
I've never listened to the whole album.
Nah, me neither.
What doesn't seem like a worthwhile use of my time.
Not those guys then. At 13, T-Rex with Electric Warrior.
Classic.
Classic. You like some big glam riffs?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the guy loves some glam riffs. Fucking hell. At The Who. Who's next? Oh, I'll try that again. At 12. It's quite surprising. It's The Who. Who's next?
Who's next? I'm not a big fan of The Who, right?
Yeah,
but
me
every
neither.
once in a while, The Who will do something that I really like. And on Who's Next, there is a song, John Entwistle. I think the best songwriter of The Who is John Entwistle,
Right.
which is not popular opinion, but because he wrote maybe 5 songs in the whole of The Who.
Yeah.
What his most famous one being Boris the Spider, I think, from Meaty Beaty Big and Bouncy.
Fucking hell. Some syllables there, isn't there?
But my favourite Who song is a John Entwistle song called My Wife on Who's Next, which is about him being out on the Raz and his wife's like coming after him, tracking him down at the pub, out with the prozzies and all this stuff. And his wife, my wife's coming after me. It's very Top Gear. But I really like that one, the My Wife by The Who.
I'll be checking
but
that out,
but otherwise, I'll skip the rest of it.
No, fair play. Would you like to hear my dad's The Who anecdote?
Yes, please.
I've just forgotten the lead singer's name now.
Roger Daltrey.
My dad's Roger Daltrey anecdote. Thank you, Wes. So, my dad was briefly a minicab driver. He's done many things, my father, fucking hell. And we're basically in the Who territory, aren't he? In this corner of West London. It's very Who
not far
territory.
at all.
And my dad said he dropped... I forgot his name again. What the fuck?
Daltrey.
Fucking Roger Daltrey. Been a long day. My dad dropped Daltrey off in Shepherd's Bush, and it was his first job of the night, and he's gave him a £50 note. It's probably fucking £6.80 for a fucking 30-minute taxi.
Yeah.
Back then, who fucking knows? And he's given my dad a 50 quid note. My dad's going, dad's like obviously shitting himself. It's fucking Roger Daltrey in my car. Give a 50 quid note. He goes, I'm sorry, Roger, I've got no change, mate. The first job of the night. And he goes, well, you better fucking get some then, didn't you? And my dad had to go get some change for him.
That sounds very Roger Daltrey.
Very Daltrey. Very Brexit Daltrey.
He's a bully, isn't he?
It's a fucking... fuck those guys. At 11, Black Sabbath, Master of Reality.
Master of Reality is 1971.
1971,
Wow.
apparently.
That's a corker.
It's a corker.
I'm not saying anything bad about Sabbath at all, apart from
Sharon.
his wife. Yeah, I hate his wife.
Not big on Sharon
Yeah.
anymore. It was funny. It's gone from like being something that's really, really loved just 2 months ago.
But then again, I was talking to somebody, I won't say who, but I was talking to somebody and they were talking about they were maybe going to interview Sharon Osbourne.
Right.
And I said, are you going to ask her about Israel-Palestine? Because she's been vocal... Well, maybe we shouldn't get on to this.
Definitely can. I did find it really weird. She was so anti-kneecap after Coachella last year.
Yeah.
It was like, Sharon, you aren't aware of who your husband is and what his
Exactly.
music's about.
Yeah, it's mad.
Anyway. At 9, Joni Mitchell with Blue.
I've never quite got Joni Mitchell.
That surprises me. It's the comparison here, I think, isn't there?
Yeah,
Judi
there
Sill?
is. I see it, and there's great stuff on that record. But I've never. I always feel like I feel like if I'm going to get into Joni Mitchell, I'll probably like her later jazz stuff.
Right.
But I haven't gotten there.
Joni yet.
I haven't gotten there.
Yeah,
maybe I'm just not at that
ain't
point
going
in
nowhere.
life.
Don't worry.
Yeah,
It ain't going
yeah.
nowhere. At 8, Rod Stewart. Every picture tells a story.
That's got such a racist line. The
Has it?
first line of the song.
No.
First line of that album, I think it's either the first line of the first verse or the first line of the second verse, is I fell in love with a slit-eyed lady.
Oh.
Yes. It's fucking dreadful.
Oh. Fair play, guys.
It is quite a good record, though.
At 7, Mariah. Fucking hell. At 7, Marvin Gaye. Sorry. Marvin Gaye.
Hold on,
What's
is
going
he
on?
Before or after?
He's at 7. Rod's at 8.
Okay, all right.
Marvin Gaye's at 7. But
They
what's
gave
going
Rod Stewart
on?
more than Sly. That's outrageous.
Disgusting.
I didn't realise this was numbered. Now I'm going to stop.
On
getting
Chris
upset.
Moyle's head, be
Okay,
it.
Yeah. Was it Moyles?
I think it's more of a general, you know.
It was Comedy
in
Dave.
term. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So come on, Marvin Gaye, what's going on? I think famously quite a good album, isn't it?
Oh, it's all right.
Pretty
Yeah,
good
it's a
album.
really
I
good
think
one,
we'll leave
yeah.
it at that. Yeah, another really good one for you. Paul and Linda McCartney. Ram.
Yeah, that is a cracker. That's mad they put that on there though, because nobody liked that record when it came out. That's like a Judee Sill thing. It's, nobody liked Ram until about 20 years ago.
I think even more than that, honestly. So you think about it, they got, Imagine came out the same year, instant classic, heralded as a masterpiece. Paul and Linda weren't getting the respect for a very long time.
Indeed. Well, what is this? This must be a relatively recent list if they've put Imagine under Ram.
This is it.
That's outrageous.
They're thinking future.
Yeah.
At 5, the Rolling Stones, Sticky Fingers. You want to talk racist lyrics? Fuck it out.
Indeed, they got them. Not my favourite of the big Stones 4, but good.
There's a lot more ballads on it, I think, than there needs to be, if I remember correctly.
Is Bitch on?
Can't remember.
It's got some funky lyrics on that one, but Bitch is a jam. That's a great tune,
I'll check that out. Can't remember that. At 4, The Doors, LA Woman. You've made your feelings on Morrison pretty clear.
Waste of time.
Fuck that guy. At 3, I think you mentioned my as well, James Taylor, Mudslide.
The most boring heroin addict of all time.
Well, a hell of a title of the album, though. Mudslide Slim and the Blue Horizon.
I like my one, the most boring heroin addict of all time.
At 2, we're nearly there. 2, Nick Drake, Brighter, Later.
Oh, yes, well, absolutely fantastic.
There it is.
Yeah.
And at number 1, Radio X's best ever albums of 1971. Have us a guess. What's left? You got anything in the back pocket there?
Okay, I had one, but I'm not going to go with that. Is it Bridge Over Troubled Water?
It's not. It's a Garfunkel Free Zone.
Okay.
It's... Ooh.
My other guess was going to be Hunky Dory, but I've got a feeling that's 72.
I think it might be 72.
Yeah.
It's definitely not on this list. At number 1 is Janis Joplin with Pearl. God, what an anticlimactic way to end the fucking
That's
podcast.
awful.
Look,
really? All those amazing
Comedy
records.
Dave.
I made Bridge Over Troubled Water in 1971. I didn't even get a look in. Outrageous.
I'm just the host of this fucking thing. I just work here. Wes, this has been so much fun, man.
Yeah, indeed. It's been lovely chatting.
This is your chance to plug, promote anything that's happening in your world. The floor is yours.
Yes, we got the new single Red Pilled and Based is out in June everywhere on the internet, and then I'm going to release some other singles, and then I'll announce an album.
Big fucking news.
And
Live shows.
I'm announcing an announcement of an album, but I'm playing in the Rio Cinema on June the 7th with Dana Gavansky and with Clementine March, and I'll have some fantastic musicians playing with Callum Duffy, Gwen Reid, and I've got Graham Coxon from Blur playing saxophone for me as well.
Let's end the podcast on that, you maniac.
Yeah.
Graham fucking Coxon from fucking Blur. Get off your asses, get to the fucking Rio Cinema.
Yeah.
Let's have a lovely, lovely, lovely time.
Yeah.
I've been William Hann. He's been Wesley Gonzalez. She's been Judee Sill. I've forgotten Roger Daltrey's name. And this has been this album. We're gonna have a hug. We're gonna have a hug. Yes.
Fantastic. Oh, wonderful. That was great fun.
Nice one.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, man.
That was fun.